Alright, hello! So today I'm going to be making a video about what I've been getting into in the past year. So last year I started studying web development seriously with the goal to move on to a new career eventually. I discovered it by, or I guess rediscovered it. I rediscovered it by having the opportunity to make a website for my department of teachers with my company. Because we make pretty much all of our materials by ourselves, we wanted a way to share it with everybody in the department and be able to retrieve it at any time while we're at school. So yeah, I made the website and it was really nice. It was my first ever iteration of a website, so it was pretty hacky, honestly. It was super novice stuff. Lots of HTML, lots of redundant writing, and not very pretty. But I made it function the way I wanted it to, and I thought compared to the old version that we had, it was a lot more efficient, less clicks and stuff. Because I hate having to click like 1,000 times to get to some place. So uh, the less clicks, the better, I think, for the user. At least that's what I was thinking when I made it. So recently, well, after I made it, I took about 6 months to understand all the things I put in because I used a lot of code from other people and other solutions, and then I also studied a lot with online resources. I got more comfortable with HTML and CSS. CSS is the styling. HTML is kind of like the structure of the website, and then I got more comfortable with JavaScript. Not heavily though. JavaScript is the computing language, the computing part that will do things for you, like say, convert time from one region of the world to another, or money, or do all sorts of things. I wasn't quite comfortable with that yet, but I went back after 6 months after creating the website, and I redesigned it, made it look really nice, made it much more consistent, and just got sort of a level up for a young web developer. And then I went back to studying. My goal was to really focus on JavaScript and getting used to that and other tools that I can use for websites, because I knew that my site was my code could be much better. It could have been a whole lot better. I did a lot of work on my own where I could have made the computer do that work for me. So that was the goal. And so last week I started this project where I'd take the old website and I'd do that redesign I always wanted to do with JavaScript. So I'm going to take you through that right now, and it shouldn't be too long, I hope. We're at 3 minutes already. We'll see how it goes. First of all, we're going to just go over this diagram of the old website to see where we were, and then we'll see where we're at. So the old website was set up like this. There was a home page, so you go there and there's announcements and quick links and stuff like that. Pretty basic stuff. And actually I didn't put it on here, but there's a banner as well. So just imagine like a banner on every page with the title of it on there, of the website. And there's this navigation bar. So the home page you could pretty much ignore that. The materials, where you'd want to go download a worksheet or some flashcards or something like that, those all had their own bespoke pages. I had to make, well, we have 3 books for junior high school, and I think there's maybe a total of like 30 units, maybe 40. Oh, wow, and there's a lot of extra stuff that aren't considered, like a unit. They're just extra things. So I think about 50, yeah. 50 pages just for those alone. And then we had special needs. We often teach special needs classes at our schools and high school, and sometimes we are sent to elementary schools temporarily, just for like one day or two. So there's a lot of different pages. So I had to make bespoke pages for every single one of them. Yeah, man. Just thinking about it's hard. That was a lot of work. Brings back rough memories of just staring at the computer for hours, copying and pasting and copying and pasting and cutting and deleting and stuff like that. So what I had, the extent of what I knew for JavaScript, that computing part of the computing language, to make it work for you, what I mentioned earlier, all I knew how to do was to make it inject code that I had already written. So I had to write the code for everything, and which is all the hard part. And then I gave JavaScript the easy part, which is load this. Like I knew it. I could see what potential JavaScript had, but I couldn't reach it at the time. So what it does here, for example, navigation bar on the home page or any page, it'll look for something called a header. It's an element. It looks for an element called header. If it sees it, it will say, hey, we've got a rule in our JavaScript file. Load this navigation bar file. I think it's called nav.html. Load that data into this page that we're on. And it does that. That way, if I need to change a link on this navigation bar, it changes for every single page on the website, which is good. Let's see, so that was there, and it's a similar story when you go to the materials page. The materials pages, or page, is just, it's one container. It's a container page, I guess, a landing page, and it has about 5 subsections, sometimes more, and you would just click on them, and it would load the relevant data. So let's say in this example we're going to pages in H1, which is the first year junior high school book for English, in H1, New Horizon 1. So pages in H1, unit 1, and then it takes you to unitpage.html. It loads that page here and says, okay, if the LP is active, load the LP data, which is in a separate file that I had to type all that out, load that data into this area. Same story for P1, which is part 1, part 2, part 3, and RV, which is review. So that's 50 pages or more. It's pretty messy, and it's hard to keep up with, especially as the website grows. And let's see, I think that covers that. Yeah, we'll move on. So the redesign goal is here. It's much nicer in the way that it functions. The idea was to basically have a one-page website and just change the content in this particular box based on what the user clicked. So if they've just, I guess we'll start here. The navigation bar and the banner, those are the same. They're always going to be displayed on the page no matter where you are on the website. So those always have a home here. And the same with the footer. The only thing that needs to be dynamic is this part. So I crunched it down to just working on these, and really all it is that there's a rule, or there's 2 rules in here. It says, okay, if you're at, for example, www.thiswebsite.com, it says, oh, okay, that's the root URL, that's the home URL, so load the homepage content, and it injects the code, it injects the content. So it says, like, oh, here's the announcements, here's the quick links. And then if they went to the navigation bar and clicked on anything in there, it would say, oh, we got to use the second rule and look at that link that the user clicked and take a piece of that link as the ID. Send it to this, send it down to this template creator, and it will use that to get data that's relevant to that ID and bring it back, make the template, and then display it here. Maybe it sounds a bit kind of long, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know of an analogy right now I could use, but basically it just goes there, it says, hey, I need only this thing, please give it to me. It takes it, and then it says, I know the structure, how I want this to be displayed, and it just does it for me, and it does it really well. So yeah, let's look at the code real quick, and then we'll show the page. So we've got just like this page, this diagram shows, sorry, the diagram has this navigation bar, right? The nav bar, it's constant, it's always going to be there. The banner text, it's always going to be there. The section is the dynamic part. Well, rather this part is. Section holds, it actually holds the footer as well. But these two routes are the rules that I mentioned earlier. So when they're at the home URL, it loads the home content. And when they click on anything in the navigation bar, it'll take the information as an ID, and it'll give that to pages. And so we'll skip home. If we go to pages, pages will take that ID and say, hey, give that to template, and we're gonna, whatever template gives us, we're gonna load it into this space here. So we gotta go check out template. Template says, oh hey, we got an ID from pages. So what we need to do is, first thing is set the state, this property called worksheets. We need to reference the data store, which we're going to call worksheet store. They have a function, a method which will get the right data for us. It's called get chapter. But in order to run it, we need to give it the ID. Right? It sounds right. If you know what you want, you have to tell them. You have to tell the clerk at the store. So we have to go check out worksheet store. So we'll go to worksheet store. We go to the bottom. That's where our method is. Get chapter. It takes something called a chapter ID, which is just a, it's the same as what we give it here. And then it says, okay, look for a match in our data collection that says this chapter ID. So we look. Our chapter ID for this place, this particular one. Oh, I think I forgot to show you the website. Here we go. So the website, so here's the home, right? We're on the home route, so it loads the home data. If we wanted to go to the first unit in the first book, we go here. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, near my start button, it says S/NH1U1LP. So that's the ID that we need to look up in the data collection. And it says, okay, yeah, we've got that. Let's take that result, the value of that, the array, and let's return that to our buddy who called us, who is template. And template says, okay, great, so now we've got that. Now we need to take that worksheets property here and use this method called map, and it's going to loop through the data that we got from the worksheet store, and it's going to appropriately apply the information from there into the structure that I give it. These are basically rules. If we were going to keep up with that store analogy, it's like how I want the product on the shelves, how I want them facing, and how I want, do I want them alphabetically ordered or whatever. So this is the rule, and this map is, maps the rule, and it's telling them specifically to go through it as a loop and do it like this for all the things in there. So it's going to say, put the title of the worksheet in this particular spot, and then put the worksheet image. Let me just make this longer. So put the worksheet image, which is a link, a URL, or a source path, into these spots. Same with the instructions, same with the download link. And then do it for as many items that there are in that array. And then once it's finished, save it as worksheet list and return that worksheet list to whoever called us, which is pages. And then pages says, hey, we got that data, let's display it. And it displays it. And then I mentioned earlier that there's subsections. That's what this section here is for. It will just take the ID and appropriately apply the right suffix to that ID to properly get the right data. Yeah, and that's right here. So basically it works just like how the old system did, but it's so much smarter, and it takes so much work off from me. All I have to do is, if I get a new worksheet, to share here, I just hit a comma and then make a new object and start going, crazy. Uh, yeah, that's all I have to do. It's so much easier. This will do the typing of code for me because I gave it a rule to follow it, and it'll follow that, and then it displays it here. So yeah, so now we're going on to 15 minutes. Let's show you what it's like. We're going to go to Unit 1, which is NH1 U1 LP, and boom, it loads. It loads the correct information. We'll get you off the screen. We'll go to the worksheet store and just verify. This .nh1 U1 LP, the title, Guess Who Speaking Activity 1. And the other worksheet in this array, right, because there's two objects in this array, this is just called Speaking Activity 2, right? There it is. And then if I wanted to go to part 1, which is another subsection of this unit, just click on this link, and there it is. It's brought up the Speaking Activity 3, which is part of this subsection, and then 4 as well. One of the other things I had trouble with when I was making this was I had trouble trying to get it to go from one unit to another, to go to another part of the navigation, I guess. But I managed to get it to work, and there it goes. It also will take me to other pages on this website and get the right data for this. So like we go down to NH1, this is Unit 2 LP, and there's only one thing in this. It's just a lesson plan for Part 2 Speaking Focus. That's right here. Same thing if I wanted to go to the Part 1, and Part 2, Part 3, and then Review. Review also only has one thing, yep. And there it is. This is what handles updating. So if I tell it, if I click on any of these subsection buttons, this will update. It'll say, hey, we have a new ID. So let's go get the correct information for this new ID. So yeah, it just does it dynamically. It's really nice. If I wanted to go further with it, like I could do, I don't know, search option. So you can just click in like this empty space here. Maybe I could put like a form, and then I can just have them type in, and then as they're typing, that can come up with like suggestions based on what keys have been pressed so far. Yeah, and anyways, the video's getting kind of long now, so I'll just cut it off here. But basically, this is what I've been doing. I'm super excited by it. It's a lot of fun, well, when it's working. It can be kind of rewarding when you figure out a solution too, depending on what it is. Like, just one example, these fucking brackets, man. I didn't know it was that. I kept trying to just do a period, and I was like, why isn't this working? And then 2 hours later, I was like, let's try it with brackets, and it worked. And I wasn't very happy, but I was happy but unhappy. So that's what I've been doing, and it's really fun. And hopefully, and not too long, I'll be doing this full time, or at least I'll be doing this comfortably. Maybe even freelance or something like that. But that's what I want to get into. So for all you guys that are back home in America or wherever else, yeah, this is what I'm into recently, and it's a lot of fun. And then for all the people I've been talking to around here, yeah, this is I don't know if you care at all about this or caught any of it, but yeah, it's I think it's pretty big for me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't judge me too much. I know this is still not the most elegant thing. Yeah, but if you got any questions, let me know. Yeah, see ya. Just for fun, let's compare the old code so that you can get an idea of where I came from a bit better. You don't need to know it in detail. You can just see here, this is the old website on the left and the new website on the right, or at least the proof of concept anyways. So on the left, this is the home page, and here's all the data. And it's a lot to take in at one time if you needed to sift through it and look for certain things. Say I needed to look for quick links. I'd scroll until I found quick links here. Or if I needed to find like a specific link, I'd have to go through, is it in paperwork? Here's the vacation request form. Okay. So on the new one, if I wanted to find that, I just have to know where it is. It's our app. Okay, so that's going to be within the home component because that's the home page. So home component, let's go here. Okay, so we've got quick links and greeting text. Quick links. Oh, hey, here it is. So now I just look. It's a lot less messy. There's a lot less stuff. The links are gone, but I mean, same thing. It's still less messy. It's easier to update these things as well. Just go in, type in some few things, and then boom, you're done. So that's just the home page. And now let's see about an actual material page. So let's go to NH1, Unit 1, and I think in the video I said it was under NH1. It was something else. It was slightly different. Anyways, unit page is the landing page. So you go here, and boom, all this stuff is here again. Head, all this stuff, the doc type and all that. It's the same thing that's in here. And that's really bad if I decided I needed to use something else, like if I wanted to use a different style file. Like if I had style2.css, I'd have to go into every single one of these and change it. And that is terrible. That's a bad thing to do. In fact, I had to do that a few times, I think. At least once, and that wasn't fun. So anyways, yeah, this is all duplicate. That's not dry, right? And then here, this is all bespoke, basically. Like, I could easily make this, because the only thing that changes here is the title here, the header. If it's just, you know, these tabs, I can have a layout that just deploys it for me. So you see here in Pages, this is the equivalent to these buttons, and it will change it based on the information that's passed in. This page constant, this variable, which I've made equal to the ID that's passed in. So yeah, instead I don't have to make bespoke pages for each landing. They can just use this template, this here, this page plus the template page. Alright, so there's that, and now let's see, I think part 2 has worksheet files. So you go in here, and this is all bespoke as well. I had to type all this out individually, line by line, and then copy in and paste, like, if you remember the 3 worksheet images, I had to go in, like, okay, A class P1 ref, paste, and then type in the image source, paste, and then class small image source, paste again, the class large, close, and close the A tag in, and yeah, and then go on and do it again, and do it again. And if one of those links happened to be broken, that happened a few times too. If the link was broken or I fell asleep while I was coding, I'd have to go through, I'd find it on the page, and I'd come through and I'd go through my code and I'd be like, okay, which one is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's okay. And then I'd have to check it and double check it. Instead in here, this is where the data resides. It's so much easier to control. If this link is broken, say I put like I had a typo in it, I'd just go in and I'd be like, oh, okay, just delete it, delete the typo, or fix it, whatever. And it's fixed for all 3 of those things. It's crazy efficient. Just like I wish I'd known how to do this a long time ago. Let's see. What else is there? Worksheet store. I think that's it. Yeah. I mean, if we look here, this is a fully decked out section of a unit. It's got a lot of different materials. I think maybe like 14 different ones, and so that ends up being a total of about 200 lines of code. Whereas in the new app, what I would do is I would just put in a key, a title, an image link, a download link, instructions. So 5 things, and then the computer, the JavaScript would handle it for me. And instead of me having to type in 200 lines, I only type in 5 lines. And that's it. Yeah, so anyways, that's the comparison.